Hey there, welcome to Cosmedi Pros. Today I am here with Layla Hinchen, who is very experienced and well known in the PMU world. So I am looking forward to hearing her story today and what she's got to share. Layla, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So Layla, first, for those who maybe aren't familiar with you, can you share a bit about, how you came into the beauty industry and what's brought you to where you are today?
Yes, God. Well, the beauty industry before PMU, I started, coming up to 21 years ago. Had no intention of going into beauty at all. I was at college, with the intention of going to uni to do marine biology. Completely different, but it fell pregnant at a very young age, which some people know and some don't. And so I was only 19. And that was when I went to beauty college because I decided that I still obviously wanted to work, but I didn't want to be, in a city job at the office 9 to 5. I wanted something with flexibility. So trained in beauty therapy. I'd done that for a few years. Then I'd done hairdressing, and then I'd done some private courses with like lashes and tanning and bits. And then it was when I got my eyebrows tattooed, God, probably about 11, 12 years ago, that I was just amazed by the treatment, fell in love with it, and decided that I had to do it. So, yeah, about 10 years ago now, I think it is. I trained in permanent makeup, and I found my passion. That was me done.
I do hear that a lot with PMU and SMP. Quite a lot of the artists, when they go and get the treatment done, and suddenly they're like,
Yeah,
just wow, this is
yeah,
brilliant. This is what I
I
want to do.
need to do this.
So you did Lashens, a bit of general beauty before.
Mhm.
How did that influence when you came into PMU? So you weren't starting PMU and beauty straight away. Did that influence your starting approach from some of the stuff you'd learned beforehand?
Do you know what? I think other than how to shape an eyebrow, you don't carry a massive amount of knowledge over from beauty into PMU. From doing facials and having a basic understanding of skin, I guess that definitely helps. But other than that, I would say the PMU, the tattooing, it's a completely different industry to be in, really. When I used to teach beginners in PMU, I would have, people coming from office jobs straight into PMU. And then I had beauticians coming into PMU, and I think it was quite level with how everyone takes to it.
Yeah, quite an artistry. I know someone else I was speaking to said as well, they're very much, you do need an artistic talent
Yes.
to get on with it more than maybe some of the other treatments. So you've achieved quite a lot in your career. We'll kind of get onto some of the more recent ones as we go. Are there any particular sort of along the way that you're most proud of?
I would say the biggest thing for me was creating the PMU circle 4 years ago. It kind of took me in a new kind of direction as well with work and not being in the clinic a lot or as much. I still do my clinic treatments. I love doing treatments, but I'm now down to 1 to 2 days a week in the clinic, and a lot of time now goes into the circle.
So with the creation of the PM Circle, what's the philosophy behind that and what have you found the impact to be so far?
So from teaching hands-on myself for many years, I was teaching beauty before I even got into PMU. So I've got quite a long teaching background as well. But when I started teaching PMU and I got more into the PMU side of things, I definitely noticed there was a big shortfall really of quality training, quality education and support. Because what you find when you train in PMU, the learning really starts after when you're on clients and you're out on your own. That's when you really need that support. And there just wasn't a lot of it from training academies. It was kind of like, right, you've trained, bye-bye, don't talk to me anymore. So we were trying to close that gap. I spent hours every day in my DMs, just artists that I didn't even know messaging me, asking for help or support. And yeah, we sat one day, me and Katie, my assistant, and she was like, Layla, you can't spend this amount of time when they're not even your students. So we kind of was thinking, right, how can we support artists on a wider scale and also try and raise industry standards, bringing them good quality education. So that was kind of how it come about. I launched it with absolutely no idea that it was going to take off how it took off. I sort of said, you know what, if we get 20, 25 members, that'll warrant a couple of hours on a Zoom for me, or helping where I can. And then I think within the first year we was up to about 500, and So it's quickly shifted our business as well to keep up with it. But it's amazing, the amount of artists that say to us they would have given up if it wasn't for the circle. They learn so much more from the circle than they did in their initial training. So yeah, it's nice to just be able to support artists on a much larger scale than, one-on-one training.
What's really good there is a couple of things really. Is one, you were quite ahead of the curve, maybe unknowingly on the whole membership thing, which is like got really power. You've probably seen Cosmedi in school and it suddenly got really popular in the last 12 months. So being ahead of that, and it is across that membership thing, like you said, with the training, that ongoing support. And the memberships give a more structured approach than you might find in a Facebook group. Obviously, if they've got a small payment, that allows the owners or people running their group to actually put better quality things in there and better time. So that's something good. And I've had a little look on the site and the things offer and within it. And yeah, it's great. Even like the templates, yeah, stuff like that is well worth checking in. And then the other thing I think, yeah, you touched on was, which I think is a big issue in aesthetics and PMU as a whole now, is like the training and the regulation stuff. So yeah, bringing on that, what do you think are some of the things needed for raising and regulating training standards? What's missing at the moment?
I do feel like it's a hard one because I do feel like we need regulation with training courses. In my opinion, it all starts with that initial training course as to how an artist is going to go on and progress. The problem we have at the minute with privately accredited courses is that trainers can pretty much do what they want, leave out what they can't be bothered to teach. They don't even have to do assessments so some form of regulation, I think, is a positive. I'm in a London borough here, so we already have level 4 enforced, Ofqual regulated level 4 in our borough. And whilst it is a plus, I think on the theory side of it, I feel like there's still room for improvement with more of the practical side of tattooing for regulated qualifications. And then sometimes it's the insurance companies I would like to shake up a little bit, because they're the ones that are crediting these private courses and insuring artists. If they could even up their game a little bit with what they require, that would make a big difference without the Ofqual regulation. But they're a business, I guess, and the money is the most important thing to them. So yeah, it's hard, but I definitely feel we need to do something.
Dan, yeah, I'm kind of pro the Ofqual and the regulation because I think you need that third party verification. The one thing which I think PMU may be similar to S&P is there's the artistry element to it, and I think that part's from a training point of view, even and from a doing, is probably quite subjective and hard to assess. When is someone artistically good enough to actually go and sell, and like when can they step beyond practicing on paper to practicing on a live model? And yeah, I think there needs to be some way of assessing that, but I'm not really sure how you could
I would really love to see more like apprenticeships in PMU, like a hands-on ongoing qualification as opposed to that short intense week. But again, it comes down to finances and students. They don't want to do an apprenticeship, they want to do it all in a week and go off and be qualified. So it's a hard one, but I think apprentices would definitely be a great way forward for us. Same as body artists do.
Have you seen, because I know you work with not just the UK, worldwide, have you seen other countries doing it better, or which ones we should model, or would you say it's kind of a similar problem everywhere?
I think it is quite a similar problem everywhere. There are a few trainers out there that do apprenticeships. I mean, I took on an apprentice kind of off record. There was no formal apprentice in the UK for PMU, so I kind of made my own one up, but trained her, mentored her. Claire worked with me for years. So, and it just shows, it goes to show that how much additional support after training is needed.
Are both counts with the training and the actual doing the work, and also I think a lot of just people entering business. I find a lot of newer PMU are sometimes, again, with not blaming the academies, but sold a bit of an easier route than it is in real life in terms of get your qualification, make some posts, and you're going to have a full clinic.
It's literally marketing. It gets them in, but it's like, people are selling PMU courses, like, it's a week's course. you can earn 20 grand a month after you've passed. That doesn't happen. And then you end up with a lot of artists that have qualified. They've got no, and I think the hardest thing is for us is we're not, you know, when you first train, you have no sales or marketing expertise behind you. You don't really know anything about business, and you forget that actually, as well as tattooing, you have to run a business and you have to sell and market yourself. So even incorporating that into a course, I think, is beneficial for beginners, even like the basics.
So with yours and kind of linked to the circle, we become a PMU pod approved trainers. What are some of the key points that is contributing to higher standards and starting to hopefully put a little bit of a standard in there if we can?
Yeah, hopefully. So we decided a year ago, this was to start a bit of a directory, but predominantly towards trainers. And it's so that I can confidently, or we can, as the PMU circle, confidently recommend other trainers that are across the UK that we know are providing good quality training. So with the pod directory, we go through their manuals, their lesson plans, their scheme of works, insurance, accreditation. We check everything. And then it's really nice to just be able to recommend with confidence to potential students.
So that's basically, they can go up and look at who are the good trainers who have got.
Yeah, they've
With.
just been vetted for you. So for beginners coming into the industry that have no idea what to look for, it's a nice starting point. And then even for advanced artists, I don't do the beginner training no more, but I get so many DMs daily asking for beginner training. So it's nice to be able to say, do you know what, I don't do it no more, but head over here, and they're all amazing. So I normally say, have a look at their work, find whose style you prefer, because that's what you're going to be learning. And you know, you're in safe hands.
In your experience and what you've seen, what do you think are some of the most effective marketing strategies in growing a PMU business? If someone's starting out, what are some strategies they should look at?
Obviously, social media is huge now, but I think I always used to say to my beginner students, don't focus solely on socials, because they are busy now, aren't they? They're noisy. And I feel like we forget all the old school kind of marketing strategies. You know, I love face-to-face stuff, local events, networking things. And I think as well, when you're, especially if you are using social media a lot, is one, showing your personality, who you are, because people connect with you. And I would say the most effective conversion for me is getting them in for a consultation, as opposed to trying to get them booked in for a treatment. I find as soon as I get a client in for a consultation, they book. Once they've come in, they feel comfortable, we've had a nice informal chat, as opposed to me trying to get them to book a £400-500 treatment online without even meeting me. And so I advertise free consultations. That's really how I built my client base up, with quite an easy conversion rate. Email marketing, I still do a lot of email marketing. I love emails. Lands in front of a lot more people than I find socials do nowadays. But, you know, social media is still amazing. We grew the circle through social media. It definitely has its place.
I think socials, it's a bit harder if you're starting now without that budget. I think a lot of the big PMU artists and in other aesthetics area got a little bit of a head start. So I think, it's hard if you're going to try and, unless you do just throw like a lot of money on ads to just kind of come out and build a brand. But yeah, what you said there as well about putting the personality on it, because very much, again, now it is the personal brand. People don't want to see your logo or sort of company.
Exactly.
They want to know who's the person I'm talking to. And email. I'm glad you said that as well, because I think people underrate the follow up, and just because someone's giving you your name and hasn't brought off you the first time doesn't mean they're not going to. So kind of have your sequences, and that's relatively cheap as well, I think, to just keep going. Once you've got something, you can run it longer. So following from that, other than email, do you think there's like client retention and keeping attracting and retaining clients as well? Because that's we want new clients, but you also want the clients who are going to come back, stay with you, not go. Do you find any sort of positive strategies for you keeping them or keeping them with you?
I try to build more of a personal relationship with clients. I give them my time. I am not somebody that rushes, like I always see online. Oh my God, she does it in an hour and a half. How does she do it? I want to do it in an hour and a half. For me, I think I charge £495 for a set of eyebrows. I am not rushing that treatment. I spend 3 hours if I need to spend 3 hours. But also it gives you time to chat with your client, connect with them. You don't want them to feel rushed in a, you're tattooing their face at the end of the day. It's not a set of lashes that you can just soak off if they don't like them. So I think that, and then touch points, like once we've done the treatment, we check in with the client in a few days' time to see how their healing's going. We check in with them again to see how they've healed. We've even got automations on our booking system to wish them a happy birthday. Just like lots of little personal touch points. I think it goes a long way. And I would probably say my biggest form of getting new clients is by referral. I don't even really put much time into my clinic socials anymore because I'm too busy on a bloody circle one. But I don't need to, because pretty much every client that now books with me is through referral because of happy previous clients. And even sometimes, like little things, like if they need a third session, which is not priced for, and in my terms and conditions, if they need a third session, it's chargeable. But you know what? If it's going to take me 5 minutes, I'll just say to them, come in, it's fine. Don't worry about the money. And just little things like that, I do find they go a long way.
Yeah, they're going to remember that going forward. So looking a little bit at trends and future of PMU, going 2024 and on, are there any kind of major trends you see sort of happening at the moment that artists should be aware of or start adapting to?
Oh, that's a good one. God, I don't know. Things are constantly evolving, aren't they, and advancing in our industry. I think the whole pigment shake-ups bringing us all a lot more learning. Everyone's a bit worried now if REACH hits the UK. Are we experimenting again with pigments like we probably did 4 years ago? And I feel like the whole colour theory, pigment science, everybody is getting way more clued up on this now than what they used to be, which will only be an improvement, obviously, for our healed and aged results down the line. But yeah, techniques go round in circles. We go bold styles, soft styles, then the bold styles are back. I think we're always going to see that. But it is nice to see a much closer industry. I feel like everyone's much more open nowadays, much more sharing with knowledge and information and collaborations. It's become such a lovely industry to be in.
Yeah, collaboration's always, even if it is like, yes, you are competing in some terms, but overall, as an industry, you all rise together. So you're going to get further and more customers overall if you're helping each other and supporting in the different realms. And then, yeah, so a bit on that. So in the next 5 years, then do you just kind of see it growing more and continuing to grow as an industry?
I think it will continue to grow. I know there's a lot of talk at the minute about, is the industry becoming oversaturated? I don't believe it is. I just believe that it has become more popular over the years, but more clients are aware of it now than what they used to be at the same time. So I don't think there's a risk of oversaturation. I just think it's more quality. We need higher quality.
You'll get some of the new trainers and like the floods. And I think some of that will naturally go as and when trainer gets better. And you'll also have a lot that maybe just signed up for the quick, thinking they were going to make what they were sold, make the money quick, and realize actually business isn't like that. It's a lot harder.
Not going to
There's easier
happen.
things. So they'll kind of, naturally shoot out. And then I think particularly in the UK at the moment, it's a bit of a tough climate at the moment, I think, with people spending just anyway. So I think it's not PMU exactly struggling, it's just businesses in general are
Yeah.
in a slow period. So a little bit with you then, you've had a lot of great success. You've also, I'd imagine, had some daily struggles like we all do going through stuff and some challenges. So how have you coped with those as you've grown? How have you found ways to manage the challenges of life and growing a successful business?
Learning to delegate was probably my biggest achievement. I'm definitely a little bit of a control freak, I'm not going to lie. And I really struggled with the art of delegation. We was actually having this conversation yesterday in the members group for the PMU circle with, she's a mum, she's busy, she's full time, and she's like, how the hell do we get this work-life balance? So yeah, I would say delegate wherever you can as much as possible. Be strict with your time. I always plan my week ahead. So on a Sunday, I'll sit and plan my week and time slot everything in, schedule it. So planning, being strict with your time. Yeah, delegation for sure.
Yeah, I think that calendar is a good one. I've started doing that a lot more myself recently. I do the same thing now on the Sunday. I kind of sit and time block.
Yeah.
Because yeah, one of my weaknesses is more getting distracted if a client rings at a different time and then going and getting distracted for the day on some sort of issue. So yeah, being really strict with, okay, between 9 and 12, I'm doing X, Y, Z, gets you there a lot quicker.
You have to be, I think. Otherwise it all rolls into one, doesn't it? And then it's like you never switch off.
And if someone's just starting PMU, decided they've got to go and join the PMU circle, what would the number one piece of advice be for them to kind of considering their career? What would be a good focus for them to do?
What do you mean? Like regards to training or business?
What's one bit of advice you wish you kind of had before you started?
I would say be patient because it will not happen overnight, like we are told. And do you know what? I think as long as you are passionate about it and you're dedicated and you put the time and the effort into perfecting your craft and to your business side of things, you'll be fine. But I feel, do you know what I see a lot of when I'm speaking to artists is they've got no clients, they've got no confidence. So they're not prepared to invest in themselves, to learn, to solve that solution, to do better. So I would say know that first initial course is never going to be the only training that you do for PMU. You're always going to need to be training, and whether it's technique or business, you know, if you want to keep pushing forward and you want to grow, just be prepared to invest in yourself. I always used to put some money away out of my treatments. I basically lived off the bare minimum and I saved everything else. I put away my tax money, but then I also put money away for further training because I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, I think look at some of those things as well as like an investment, maybe not a cost.
It comes off your tax bill anyway.
Yes, it's tax deductible. Get a good accountant as well. They pay money on them. So also, like you mentioned as well, you started when you fell pregnant and you did have a bit of, from some parties, a bit of negative encouragement with the way you were going. So if there's someone young in a similar challenging situation, is there a message you would give to them to think on going forward?
I think don't let anybody hold you back, and know, do you know what? If you believe in yourself and you believe that you can make a success of any career that you want to make a success of, you can. You just have to believe in yourself and you have to keep pushing forward. You know, everyone told me I'd ruined my life. And even when I said I was going to beauty school, my dad said to me, you need to get a proper job. That's not a proper job. But I thought, this is what I want to do. And this is what's going to make me happy. And so I ignored everybody else and I just focused on me and pushed forward and done what I wanted to do.
Done very well and proved a lot of people wrong, I would say.
And it's really nice to look back and say, told you so.
So with anyone, so we're joining the PMU circle, so we're coming back to that now with the online membership. What's the process of signing up and what would I expect to gain? Have you got tiered memberships? Is it an all-inclusive?
Yes, so we have tiered memberships, which is new. We only introduced the tiered memberships this year because what I discovered was over the years we've accumulated so much content and there's so much on there that it can be a little bit overwhelming for depending on where you're at. So what we done this year was we split the membership and the content into tiers. So we have tier 1, which is our foundation tier. It's £25 a month and it's all of the core education that you need to be taking them next step. So it's, you know, it covers theory, technique, business, marketing, sales still, but more of the fundamentals. So it's really aimed at artists that are fresh out of training, newly qualified. Then we've got the pro tier, which is the £49 a month. And this gives you full access to the whole platform, more advanced techniques, more advanced theory work. So when we're looking at skin science, pigmentology, and then more business, sales and marketing as well. So we try and cover everything for artists, not just technique, because you know, you could be the best artist in the world, but if you don't have clients, You just have a very expensive hobby. So yeah, we try to cover all aspects of being an artist and running a business. And they get they have live coaching calls as well to ask questions. They get downloads, resources. It's pretty much everything you would need to keep progressing.
I think of it as an investment. Over the long term, you'll probably save yourself a lot of money getting involved in something like that. And I think with the support of a membership,
Well,
I'll
this
kind
was
of
why
grow
I
that.
started it as well, Matt, because when I was newly qualified, we never had the Facebook forums. We didn't have any online stuff. So it was every time you had a struggle, pay £1,000 and go and do a day of training with somebody. So every time I needed a little confidence boost or someone to say to me, yeah, you're doing it right, £1,000, £1,000. That was like the minimum you'd pay for a masterclass. So I really wanted to bring that to artists at an affordable cost. I don't think online training will ever replace hands-on. I think they both have their place, but for those, learning new techniques or confirmation of things that you're doing it right, it's literally invaluable for how much it is.
Having the marketing and the business support in there is a really bonus, especially if you're starting out and you haven't got many clients. Affording a third party to help you is expensive. Like if you're going to get an agency or you're going to, as a freelancer, it is a big cost, and it's more affordable if you've got clients. But if you're in the situation where you haven't got clients, you need money to pay a third party. That is an expensive route and it's hard to do. So yeah, I think having those resources, and as that develops, an advantage as well as the membership as well. You're going to have oversight of a lot of people. You've got a feedback loop of what's working, what's not working. So it's only going to get better as it goes forward.
Definitely, definitely.
There's a welcome guest here as part of the Cosmedicheck spotlight. And I know your clinic is on Cosmedicheck. What's your view of that, like as a PMU artist signing on and kind of coming back to a bit of the regulation? What role do you think that plays
I love it.
in PMU?
I love it. I remember when Karen first rang me saying that she's launching it. Would I be interested in, doing anything with them or going on there? I was like, absolutely. It's really nice, I think, for clients to have that place to go again to find an approved artist. Clients don't know what they're looking for half the time. And unfortunately, there is a lot of bad work walking around out there. The amount of I probably get more correction inquiries than I do new client inquiries. So yeah, I'm anything that's going to help raise awareness to clients and raise standards in the industry, which I think is exactly what Cosmedicheck are doing. I'm all for it. Fully support them.
Right, yeah, I think Cosmedicheck, like with your PMU pod, and again, hopefully, as more of those bigger organisations at the practitioner level come together, it can probably start to put a little bit more pressure on, like you said, the insurance companies and some of the outside companies, rather than a single artist doing it. So hopefully, it will raise a bit more voice and awareness. Is there anything else today that you would like to share with our listeners, or anything we'd like to touch on, promote?
We've covered a nice range of things there.
So yeah, so wherever you're watching this, there will be links to all Layla stuff, the PMU circle, the PMU pod, and socials. And if anyone has any questions, comment below. If I can't answer them, I'm sure Layla will help me out and I can pass them forward.
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions for me, you're more than welcome. My inbox is always open. So Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can find me, you're more than welcome to drop me a DM.
Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon. And we'll see you on here next week.